Carlson.
Here.
Cody.
Here.
Crowley.
Here.
Martel.
Here.
Nikki's here. Morgan. Absent. Strubka.
Here.
Conway.
Yep.
Thank you. Are there any agenda adjustments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda is approved. Are there any announcements? Moving right on. Community input?
Crickets.
Board member report. Joe. Any board
No.
report?
No board report.
Nothing to report.
I will just say I attended the Part A of Part 4 MSBA training. Super enlightening regarding like how to do open forums, town halls, things like that. I thought that was very valuable. That's all I wanted to say. Second part's online. It's virtual, and then I think in the spring, Mindy, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they'll do a face-to-face. Is it Stewartville?
I believe it's in Stewartville, yeah, I think I was hosting that one.
Good really good training. It was very interactive, engaging. They broke us out through sessions to do kind of community input with some polarized topics. So that was quite interesting and a good learning experience for everyone. So yeah.
I have no report.
I did request from Mindy that our next board meeting, that we have a working session and try that on for size. And the topic will be helping educate the board on QComp and the Minnesota report card stats and how that ties in with any like performance bonuses or things that staff receive, just to help educate us, answer questions. So that will be, it is still an open meeting, but we take no action at that meeting, and will be a time to try out how the working sessions work for the board. So that'll be next month.
November 15th is our meeting. So we'll do it on the same night as the board?
Well, I think what we'll try to do is a 5 to 6 working session with a hard stop at 6, where we then move into the regular board meeting. So if that
Good
works,
idea.
if that works for people, if not, we'll have to pick a different time to do it for an hour. And then the only other thing is there is the MSBA conference in January. And so if people are interested in attending that, just let Brittany know. Bring Eric usually go every year. Eric will go.
Is that already, did that information already come out from MSBA?
That's January 11th and 12th. So they just must have sent it out just recently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And if you look on the MSBA website, the headers that slide by as you're up there, there's one specifically for that.
Is the goals for our board to have more than just one representation, or at some point we should all
They have like
probably go?
breakout topics, right? So if there's multiple board members there, people can pick different tracks to go down. I usually have conflicts, so I don't with work, so I haven't attended yet. But multiple people can go.
I know like last year when Eric, Darcy, and I went, we all kind of attended different things. We can visit on them.
But Darcy, did you feel like it was beneficial?
I did. I really did learn a lot.
Yep.
And then, so that's Thursday and Friday, but then I saw you go up Wednesday.
Yes.
They do offer phase 2 training.
Yes.
Wednesday.
Yeah. They have phase 1 and phase 2 that they offer the days before, generally. And then they also offer a few other early bird events and they usually have a different topic every year.
Yeah, the networking was fun.
There was a lot of other, board members and get a better working relationship with them. Nice. Is there any talk or plans for us to do a phase 2 down here?
We can, yeah, we can definitely set that up and do that.
I
That's,
think that was November last year. It was.
yeah, and when I spoke to, I mean, the Stewartville thing is kind of a kickoff for what we did. They weren't doing a lot of location spots prior to us doing phase 1 here, and they realized that is a good, and MSBA, you know, they've talked about it, they say we get more attendance there because people don't have to drive and stay overnight. You know, and it's like the in-person, because then you can network with other people too, so.
That's about close to where you're located.
Mm-hmm.
And they have enough sisters down there.
Yes.
We had a really good time.
And that's what we're benchmarking on when we look at things, is those districts, not in the cities, which is a whole other world. Okay. Moving right along then, administrative reports, and we have high school first.
So I'll let you read most of it, but want to highlight 3 things. One, our Lancer Stewardship Award. This is down actually on the second page. Lancer Stewardship Award, we sent out about 75 letters to local area businesses and groups, and we're starting to get some money in for that. So the next board meeting, you'll see hopefully a rather lengthy list of donations coming in from community groups to help support that. So looking forward to that. Second piece, when it comes to service, we are investigating setting up a food shelf in building at the secondary building, having a spot so that students can pick up on their way home. They could also come in before school if they want to. We have a location tentatively picked out that is easily accessible to both middle school and high school students. It's kind of right by a door that connects to both. Also leads out to the buses, so really easy to be discreet as well. Working with local area food shelf to kind of make sure we're not stepping on toes or anything else. And looking at getting that set up mid-December is kind of our plan. We've done most of the red tape, we believe, so now it's just a matter of actually getting locations set up, getting things rolling with that, and we're pretty excited. So, yeah. So
And
that
the
would
kids
be,
have been very excited and engaged in that, which I think is also fabulous.
yeah. So it's something that will largely have student groups kind of doing the stocking and inventory and those things. But then just due to privacy, probably more likely having staff being the ones that are in there when people actually come in. So,
No, do you need help with that one, so
okay.
we can't staff it.
Right. And I don't anticipate staffing being a big deal. As I said, we're working with the food shelf. They're open Wednesdays and Thursdays. So we're going to try to avoid Wednesdays and Thursdays. We'll probably do Tuesdays and whatever the last day of the school week is. So we'll be open those 2 days, both before school and after school. And again, our goal is to serve students. It's not necessarily to have families or public members coming to the building. That's not what we want. We want to help our students specifically. So it's a very different clientele than the food shelf. There are a lot more of kind of everyone, whether it's an elderly family or, you know, we're aimed at supporting our students. So that's kind of our goal in this. Cody's been a big help so far for his internship and kind of help him go through that. But yeah, we're excited. So, and then the last one, want to spotlight Lancer Innovations. If you haven't heard, and Brittany, I don't know if you're able to pull up that link there, but they have a Facebook page and a website. You can go and check out all the pictures that they're doing. But they are trying to make an effort to make sure they're doing at least 3 posts a week as far as showing students working and showing some of the projects that they've done. This was what we spent quite a bit of time last year, prepping and preparing. Some of you came with up to Cardinal Manufacturing last year to kind of look at how they're doing it. But it's off and running. I know that Mr. Moulton was last spring concerned, what do I do if we have 0 projects? He said right now they're actually booked on projects pretty much through Thanksgiving. He said we have enough projects that if someone came in today and said, can you do this? He said I pretty much have to tell them in December we can. So it's going really well.
How would the public put in a work order?
Through their website.
Through their web, through Facebook?
Yep. they have Facebook and they also have a separate webpage.
Okay.
And they can reach out there. You know, like I said, right now they're booking about 3 to 4 weeks out.
Great.
But if people are interested, I mean, they've done some really a wide range of projects. You can see the big yellow ducks in the middle there. That's for some fundraiser where they wanted, like, basically they're giant yellow ducks that are corkboard and then solid on the back. So they're gonna hang out and like pin stuff to it for the fundraiser. They got a job through La Crosse County actually building dividers for their shackle boxes, like to store their shackles. So I mean, it's a really big mix. You know, they've had some people order custom beanbag boards. They've fixing a chair for someone's an antique chair. I mean, it's all over the place with projects. But you know, like anything else that's new, there's a learning curve, and there's some things. There's one that they quoted $50. I said we spent $70 on materials. I said that's okay. That's a part of the learning. So, and the students are doing pretty much everything. They're the ones taking the orders. They're the ones doing the designing. They're the ones that are, doing quality control. They're going through that process. They're really trying to learn all aspects of the program.
So are they doing any other things, or is it all woodworking, manufacturing type stuff?
That's largely their focus right now.
Okay.
I saw that the lawnmowers, like service
Well,
lawnmowers.
that's what I was gonna ask about, is like small engine or
Yeah, I
even
saw
like.
that.
A little bit, yeah.
I'm thinking of even like durable medical equipment, because that's a huge need
Yeah.
in our area, the nursing homes.
Never hurts to
Everybody
ask.
needs service.
Yeah.
It's hard to find those people.
Yeah, never hurts to ask.
Awesome. Yeah.
I know that right now they are being somewhat selective because it's early in the year. Students are still learning and building skills.
That's great.
So there might be something in spring that they can do that they'll say no to now, just because it's still a learning environment, right? These are students that sometimes the first time they've experienced these things. So there are some things they've said no to for that reason. But
Yeah.
never hurts to ask.
Right.
But no, we're excited about it. The plan is to have it be, this year it's 1 hour, there's 12 students. Next year to have it be 2 hours and closer to 20 students. So, but we wanted to get kind of a smaller group, get the pilot down, get it laid out, get it working, and then expand. And hopefully a lot of those students who are 10th graders and 11th graders this year will become project leaders next year. Yeah, we're excited. In the long term, we hope that we have, every kid that goes through that program has 3 job offers by the 10th grade.
That's great.
So, yeah. So we're excited with that. Yeah.
Okay. Josh.
Brittany, if you wouldn't mind just scrolling down to the pictures, and I can use that as my big project at the middle school, the removal of the old lockers, and so we've got kind of a before, during, and after picture going on there. All new lockers in the middle school. The timing wasn't the greatest, but it's what we had to work with the company, and we had a couple staff members and custodians did a really nice job with the removal, and then the company that came in and did the installation really did a nice job. They kept the noise to a minimum and worked really hard, stayed late a few nights, so it was good. The issue we're having is it's taken some time to get the old locker numbers and five years of combinations out of the Infinite Campus, and then the new ones put in. And so as soon as we get that done, and then we can be able to move in, so probably Monday is what we're shooting for. So that's kind of an exciting thing. Next picture down, we had our Breakfast of Champions. And just another, again, a great way to celebrate the kids who are doing what they're supposed to be doing and going above and beyond. Really following the Lancer way, and so it's a nice way to recognize those kids. And our Lancer Way Day celebrations are in the auditorium. We always end up with a minute to win it activity. Those are the students of the month on the left-hand side, and then we had a staff competition as well. It's kind of the zombie rap, and so apparently the winner of the adults had to go against the winner of the students of the month, but both of the adults nominated me to be in the finals with the student of the month, and of course I lost, so it was fun. But it's just kind of a nice way to wrap up our celebration. They spent the rest of the day doing activities related to collaboration and community building. So, and then one last thing I didn't put on my in my report is that our 8th graders are traveling to the elementary on Friday to read books to the kindergarten students. They're trying to do a lot more community outreach, and so they're reading their favorite childhood book to the kindergarten kids on Friday morning. So it's kind of exciting for our 8th graders.
You know how you're
Make
sitting
sure
on
you take
chaperone?
pictures of that for
Yes.
post them.
For Facebook.
That's awesome.
Josh, do you know how we're sitting for chaperones for the band?
I don't know. I know last year when we were struggling for a period of time, Lisa, who's kind of heading it all up, let me know that, hey, we're in danger of not being able to, and she hasn't said anything, so I think we're probably sitting just fine. I'll be there Friday night as well. And if you're all looking for something to do, our middle school Halloween dance/fun night is going on.
Well, elementary school, and go to the middle school. We do both.
Yeah. Dress up in costume.
It'll be a busy night.
Okay, and we are on to elementary.
So he's alluding to the Monster Bash, which is not pictured here, but that is a community activity, community education. So yeah, kind of a costume themed party at our place this Friday. This is a little bit outdated already, but some really fun things to highlight here. Our PTO helped raise more than $22,000, and we didn't sell a single pizza or tchotchke. So people made pledges. The kids ran around the building. If you want to scroll and see the pictures, that's really where the fun is. They're safely running all the way around the school. This is, I think, looks like maybe 1st or 2nd grade. But a great partnership with our PTO to organize this event. A lot of sponsorships through our community businesses. We're still in October, which is our Upstanders month. We wore orange on Wednesday the 18th for Unity Day, and the kids are learning social emotional lessons about how to be an upstander all month long. And what that means is, rather than being a bystander and watching somebody be picked on, they're learning strategies for how to intervene, get an adult, be an upstander rather than a bystander. So it's something proactive that we're doing to help kids be safe and be good friends at the school. Next, you see the annual Walk and Bike to School Day. It's typically very strong participation in that. That's a partnership with the statewide organization to encourage kids to walk or roll to school. And I think we had over 50 kids. You can see the bikes all parked in the back. So the next one is in May. Obviously, Lancer Way, we celebrate each month with a Lancer Pride time in our main gymnasium, and you can see pictured there are our students of the month, and Unity is our theme of the month. And again, this is a little bit outdated, but we had teacher conferences, very strongly attended. Almost every parent attends. Very few people miss out on that opportunity. So that was the week of MEA as well.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Anything from community ed, or is it that one?
We covered that with the Monster Bash.
Yeah. Oh, there is. There's no pictures there. Okay. Okay, I'll read that on our. Okay, Coach Donovan. Great
All right.
game last night. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
Going.
you. Kids were really, really tough last night. First of all, as the first actual meeting that I was, the last meeting that we had our coaches that have to go to our annual section meeting, or our region meeting in Rochester. So I apologize, but we took a bunch of our coaches there. So I want to thank, obviously, Mindy and the board for entrusting me with our student athletes and students as the AD. It really is an honor for me, and I truly, truly appreciate the opportunity. So thank you very much for that. Fall's been great so far. The numbers in all the programs are pretty good. roughly, not knowing the exact thing, we're probably about 56% of our student athletes, 7 through 12, are in one of our fall sports. We have 287 total. You can see the numbers right there. So that's been really good. Soccer is done on everything. Both soccer teams had really good seasons. The boys earned a home playoff game, and the girls had a really good season there too. So we obviously are still going and hope to go take one to Rochester Leward on Saturday. The girls volleyball team has a home game tomorrow, so they've had a great season and are playing really well. And they really like where they stack up with a home game against Winona Cotter, and then they like their chances against Caledonia after that. So they really like that. And cross country has 2 runners they think on Thursday, tomorrow night, that they think may be able to advance from the section meet too. So hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed and they have a good there. So on this, we started our season with all of our coaches. So prior to our fall meeting, we had all of our fall coaches in one room. It gets our bloodborne pathogen training done, but we did a coach training thing. Nothing to do with sports specific. It was about coaching kids, and had a lot of discussion because we have a wide range of coaches from the first year, and Coach Abe's been doing it for 42 years. So we have a wide variety of experience on there, and it was great because it turned into a really good conversation on there. And we're going to do that as each season starts. So coming up, we have a meeting, and we're going to have our winter sports meeting on November 9th. And prior to the winter sports meeting, we will have our winter sports coaches meeting with that as well. And hopefully we get that well attended and kind of build that team culture with all of our coaching staff throughout all of our activities and sports there. So we're in the process right now, and kind of as our season end up here with football and volleyball and cross country, of getting coach evaluations. I've been working with a couple ADs that have some evaluations that go out to the parent. Like it'll be a parent in a student athlete survey that'll come back that we can compile data there to work, to hopefully celebrate any of our great things we're doing and work at any gaps that we have anywhere else. And then I will work with all of our coaches for evaluating the assist. So that'll be more program wide on those, and then we will do with each coach evaluations of all their assistants too, to make sure that we're getting what we need to out of our assistants and training and anything else that we keep getting going forward with all of that. And that really is a pretty good summary. The other thing is with our winter activity sign up is up and running tomorrow, I believe. And one of the things that will help us tremendously is the MSHSL waiver that we always sign is actually going to be done online now. So that eliminates a ton of work for us in the office there, where that paperwork is to be a mountain of stuff to do. That's going to actually be done online. So that is something that Tammy testing work that's going to be tremendously helpful for us. So yeah.
Terry, do you want to add a little bit about where we stand with gymnastics?
Okay, so yeah, actually that is,
just so everyone knows.
Mindy and I have been working hard on our gymnastics program. Is really a storied program in our school district's history. And when you walk down the halls, you can see at times we used to have 25 girls and winning section championships and all kinds of things. And over the last few years has really declined in numbers. A lot of different things. It's probably in a position similar to where football has been. And last year we ended up at the section tournament with 1 girl, so we were trying to kind of find a feasibility thing. And working with Mindy, it is a cost. Obviously, there's a big cost for the number of girls we have, and like we were looking at 7 at the time. So this is when we were trying to find out what we could do. And I wanted to make sure that no matter what, we have a chance for the girls to participate and compete. So I reached out to Caledonia in case we didn't have enough girls to see if there was a chance that we could co-op, and they will take us as a co-op. However, Mindy and I got kind of blown away by, we had a meeting with the girls and their families, and Callie Jensen was really the main catalyst that came in and kind of blew our doors off with her passion and everything of wanting to save the program. So she's on anybody that knows her, in the room, I don't know, but if you see her, tell her a great job, because she is on a mission. She just emailed me after I got here even telling me she's got 10, but I think one of them can't do it, and she doesn't know the name of the other one. But she is basically by herself going on this mission of recruiting and trying to save our program as just a La Crescent Hoka Lancer gymnastic program this year. And she is working her tail off doing it. And I know Mindy and I have a ton of respect for her, and I hope she can get it done. So what Mindy and I decided right now is we're kind of hoping, we've talked to several programs, and they think that the magic number is really 15 girls to have a viable program that's sustainable, and it kind of helps pay for where it's enough where, like last year, we were sending girls, the cost like per coach was about $900, where most of the, even the other sports like football was in and last year was in the 280s or something, so it was about 300 this year. And with that, it's a very, and then we had to pay to bus to Peg, which was about $8,000 just for practices. So some of this stuff was a fairly big burden on the taxpayer now, and that's what Mindy trying to be fiscally responsible to everybody. We were looking at options. So if we go to Caledonia, we were going to have the girls.
So I checked with the attorney, and we do this for other areas too, like we were talking, even golf drives themselves to the course, okay? So that's not unusual. However, one of the things I want to do that we need to do that we haven't done is they don't sign waivers when they're doing that. So I've got Jennifer, our attorney, put up the waivers for it, and we'll have those. And that will protect the district for anything with the exception of if there was a third party involved in an accident. Because obviously we can't have every random person that might be driving where our girls are driving sign a waiver either. But that's, so looking at that and trying to see how can we do this, what can we do to make it feasible for everyone. So we put some time and energy and effort into it.
And as of right now, because of the possibility of co-oping, getting down really close to the season, we put a deadline kind of on as of Friday, that we have to try to get something done by Friday to know what direction we need to go to make sure we have something.
And, you know, we were struggling a little bit with coaching, but I just looked over and saw a former girls gymnastics coach sitting right with us.
I just got a lead on somebody on my way down here.
That's probably when the program started it.
You know what, I can only say it once. That's it.
So we need 15 girls, 7 through 12.
So here's what Mindy and I, to be totally transparent, is 15 is what we really want. I think if we got 12-ish, 12, we would probably consider it here. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. It's,
Sign
if you
ups open
could
on
have
Friday.
sat in the meetings with the girls and with their parents, I mean, this is very genuinely a labor of love for them to try and get this moving and get this going.
So Darcy, no, not yet. It's not we're gonna hold off on gymnastics until we figure out where we're gonna, because basically if we can get the girls to confirm they're gonna sign up, that's kind of where, and right now, I think, Callie had just emailed me since I've been here. She said they have 10. I go, okay, well, give me the names. Just to make sure I know. And she goes, well, I only have names of 9. One of them can't do it because they're injured. And she talked to me today, and so we're really at maybe 8-ish.
Would you be willing to put something on Facebook tomorrow, like contact so-and-so to get your name on this list? Because I would share it, and I'm sure these guys would all share it as well.
Or maybe even an email out to just 7th and 8th grade families that aren't aware of the sports opportunities yet, just newly coming in.
So that's what Callie's been, and we can do that. And Callie's been out going to Flex in the middle school. Worked with Mr. Malakote on trying to being able to do that and going into the.
Something to the parents might be a little bit better than just the students, I think.
Yeah,
we can definitely do that. We can do that in the morning.
I feel like, wasn't there already some push notifications going out for winter sports sign up?
Yeah, but it's not.
There's
Remind
the
that.
parent meeting at the.
Parent meeting.
Not necessarily. There was not been a push on gymnastics itself.
Okay.
But I think as you were looking to do the co-oping or all of that, you verbally talked to kids to try and figure out how many we had and what we
Yeah,
could do.
we've
You would have had
held
to have
several
some
meetings.
numbers to talk to Caledonia about.
And it was just, last year was, I think we would go to meets and there'd be 3 girls competing. And then by the end they were down to 1 at the section meet. But the meets heading up to that were 3, and then it got down to 2 because one up Cali had gotten hurt. And that is kind of the concern of a sustainable program. You gotta have enough kids to be able to do that. And again, ideally, I think Mindy and I were both thinking, let's get the girls out, but we gotta have them, yeah.
Thank
We
you.
can
It
see
works
that.
out.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, and so to piggyback on that, not to take the floor too long here, one of the things that we talked about is if we had to co-op to just have a spot to go, we want to form a parent committee, maybe a finger thrown off of the booster club, and Danielle knows because Danielle does a lot of this for us in football, and start having some support for the gymnastics program too, that we can kind of keep going and, have fundraising just like any other sport does, be able to help do this and help grow the sport at the youth level, because we need to make sure that there's people coming in.
And one of the things we talked to the girls about, just as kind of final growing in the end, is doing some of the things that the other sports do, where the high school athletes do a camp in the summer for the younger kids.
We
And,
used to
That's
have
what they
the
used to do.
you know,
the summer
Yeah.
gymnastics.
Yeah. And I know
think
Peg
we
is love our equipment's gone, but
Well, we used to have
We
equipment too.
lost our equipment.
Well, they're
That's
just
we-
huge.
We could do tumbling and
Right.
different things, and I think that without the equipment makes it.
What happened to all
One, Peg's.
It's at Pegs, I think,
I mean,
which works good for us.
unless that's-
Peg, I don't know what-
French Island.
Lots of time and-
It works good
We
for
don't
us because
do
we
it
don't have
here
to pay for anything.
First is in,
Great for the airport.
So it'd fall under Lancer boosters if they don't have a separate booster.
Yeah.
Like Lancer boosters should be supporting those.
And they would have their own like committee.
Yeah, they have
like,
something
subcommittee.
to help drive what their
Yeah.
goals and future is,
And
yes.
one of the things just kind of carrying through to Lancer boosters is we were very blunt, Terry and I, with the parents saying, if you want to be considered for that, you should probably start volunteering to help with basketball right now. And some of those other things that you should be doing that on the front end, concessions, basketball, and starting to pay it forward for anything that we might be looking for later.
Yeah, I think we should send out something on Facebook or emails just to families and say like, we want to keep our program in-house and not co-op. Any young girls interested, daughters ever shown interest.
Or boys too, right? Same thing.
Yep.
The boys do.
I think boys can do it. Jacob and I were talking, and we get kind of tied up today. I'm looking to see
We have to make a phone call to double check, but I believe so.
I would
I
think it
think
would
they
fall
can.
the same as wrestling does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they can.
Should be.
That would be that's my first thought.
That's our thought.
Okay, thanks, Terry. Mindy, all right.
So, won't go into too much. Apex is here, and then we doing we'll talk with you a little bit about the IAQ piece. The one piece I did want to forward that with is I did give permission for Apex a change order so that we could get the HVAC system that is in and would cover the locker rooms to the extent where it'll only be about, not hundreds of thousands of dollars, but just a little bit more to tap into that. So it'll all be there and capped off and ready for the time that the district is ready to do the revamp of the locker rooms. And so we're still meeting our budgets and we're still doing all of those things, but I just thought, as I talked with kids last year and this year, like I put in here, I think it was 85 or 87 kids signed a petition last year for redoing the locker rooms. And, they talked about it with student advisory. They're just they would really like to have that taken care of. So we have some options. And now we can look at expanding and going to people and saying, hey, can we get donations for this, or can we you know, we'll be positioned to move that forward. So although it's more money right now, it's gonna be less money long run and better planned. And I'll let you kind of read this. This is a bunch of the upgrades and things we've done so far. So I got the library in there, softball field, baseball field. If you drive by the softball field right now, I don't know if there's still 3 loads of dirt or if there's more out there now, but I know as of yesterday,
They brought 2 more today, so there's 4.
Okay,
The limestone?
Yes.
and so that's all set. And is that what we were gonna get, or we're getting 6?
I don't know.
Okay. But anyway, so that's working great and looking great right now, and so that project will continue moving forward. I just highlighted a couple of things in here, parent and community connections for each of the areas. And yes, the middle school lockers look fabulous, just like the high school lockers do. The other thing is that Pat got it hooked up over MEA break to also get EverAlert clocks in all the classrooms and in the hallways. So now we're up to speed. Those EverAlerts will also work with our emergency systems. So that's all taken care of. And then just a couple of things to note. On the bottom, I put a little bit about this is my learning opportunities. This is where I was, and I found some great stuff that I'm going to be able to tie right back to all of the strategic direction and initiatives that we're doing right now. So there's some great connections there. We're working together. Josh, myself, and Sarah Payne sat down the other day to work on some of the MTSS solutions for 7th grade math and what we're going to be doing. So over this next week, I believe, did you talk to the teachers, Josh? And so I think within this next week, they're going to be able to test all of the kids in the separate part of Fastbridge that they didn't do. So they just did the
We do the AMAT,
AMAT.
and then,
and
yeah.
if they do that plus CBM math, then Fastbridge will be able to go in and do and drill down to what each kid needs, and then give a specific intervention for each child to make up what they've been missing, you know, and those pieces that they're missing that are making them stumble with 7th grade math. And so I'm excited about that, and that'll be a really promising thing, and we'll keep moving forward and meeting like we are. And I'm also excited that the MTSS is now expanding to the middle school. That was not planned to happen for at least another year. But Sarah's doing a great job, and we've got the capacity in order to be able to move that forward. April talked about the special board meeting request. And then the last thing I want to add is vaping. And so just to go through the disciplinary process for students who are caught vaping will be that the students will be reported to the Lake Crescent Police Department. The decision to ticket or not will be up to the department. I don't want the school anywhere near that because I don't want, you know, I know that sometimes tickets are issued, sometimes they're not. I don't want us to have our name on that anywhere. So we're gonna put some communication out that says, we're no longer making these decisions.
And we still have the alerts in restrooms, right?
Yeah. And then,
working.
but the other pieces, what do you think, Jacob? I mean,
Depends. I mean, if there's 15 people in there and they go off, there's no way for me to know who it was. I mean, there's apps like lunchtime, they're worthless. I mean, they truly are. Because I get a message, I can look at cameras, there's a constant wave of people in and out. There's zero chance for you to figure that out. If it's in the middle of the class period and there's 2 people in there and it goes on, then they're active.
Can we have a bathroom monitor,
Who are we gonna pay to do it?
a teacher, or a staff member?
We already have a hard time covering our duties. We'd have to hire a parent.
well, I guess my only concern with a parent there is or any adult in a kid's bathroom is we just have to really lay those out and really, this is what we're doing to make sure everyone knew. I don't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
You know, they have bathroom monitors in lots of places.
I'm just aware that kids are not using bathrooms because there's people in there vaping, and so like to not be comfortable to go to the bathroom during the entire school day that's unfortunate, so.
If it's not monitored
Not okay.
the whole time, the teacher walking in and out a couple of times, or different teachers. As long as there's an adult walking around, they're gonna be left.
So this is, are the detectors going off for noises? now?
Yeah, they go off. There's multiple alarms. The tampering gets triggered by the coldness difference. So that's an auditory alarm. It chimes and it beeps. So kids think that's the detector going off. That's not the detector. But it seems to be triggered like the kids that have their phone that flashes instead of like vibrating, whatever else. That seems to trigger the tampering. A lot of noise can trigger the tampering. Someone bumping into the wall can trigger the tampering. So I mean, those tend to go off fairly frequently. So I mean, kids hear that chiming and think, oh, someone's vaping and it's doing it. That's a whole different set of alarms.
Is there a different monitoring system that's been explored to see if there's something more effective that might be more?
I haven't spent any time.
I don't think we need to
into
spray
it.
them with glitter, but
Well,
although it would be interesting.
I mean, the thing is with the detectors, they detect the vapor. So if a student doesn't exhale, right? So they inhale but they don't exhale, the detector doesn't get set up, right? Because it's waiting for the vapor to get there. You know, there's also the piece of a kid could be vaping a long ways away from the detector, and it takes 2 or 3 minutes before it actually gets there.
Or blowing it into their sweatshirts.
Correct.
That's what's
Or,
usually happening.
you know, tubes with laundry things in there. I mean, there's all kinds of ways they can avoid it where the detector don't go off. It's better than nothing.
Subscription that we have for this.
I don't know the details on it. It was set up before I got here, so I don't know. But they're only in the 4 high school bathrooms. There's nothing in the ones by the auditorium. There's nothing in the school. They're unlocked during middle school lunchtime, but they're supposed to be getting locked after that. I mean, it's smoking in the bathroom has been a thing since there were cigarettes in bathrooms. I mean, there's no perfect way to combat it. You know, could you hire 4 staff members to sit in bathrooms? You could. I
I
know that
remembered
that's
when I was in high school, and I don't think I'm that old, but they had other students as hall monitors, and we had hallways blocked off, or bathrooms were blocked. Well, you can't block bathrooms, but you know what I mean? Like, if it's a peer-to-peer, could it be more effective that way rather than having alarm systems that we're paying for that we're not
No, because then they let their friends vape and not give it.
Sure, just a thought.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to kind of put that out there, so, because I know when I've talked to people individually in check-ins, it's been, well, what happens? What's done? And so the school process will remain the same, in that, turn it over to the police, but then there will be the consequences during our process. So that's notifying the parents, the state is confiscated, and suspension.
How many instances have we had this year?
we've had 4 at the high school.
And that was
I don't know how many.
a suspension before on the report related to that, and they were suspended.
Yeah, I mean, there's 5 suspensions. Yeah, so it's not exclusively that. Yes, it's a mandatory suspension.
Do we have signs? Maybe we could put some signs up saying that police will be called or contacted. Or
We don't have anything that specific now.
But I think Mindy's gonna send out an email,
We're gonna send out an email, it just says this is what we're going to,
and that can go to students and.
students, yeah.
and parents.
And coaches are notified too.
If they're an athlete, yeah. I mean, so that works for about 40% of our students. And then that's Minnesota State High School League is 2 weeks or 2 events, whichever is
Just
longer.
like drinking, right?
Yeah. And the second offense is 6.
6 on the second offense.
For Minnesota State
Yeah,
High School League.
I thought it was 6.
And then the last thing I stuck in your packets, because there were questions at the last board meeting about the facilities and what we're spending on, what we're doing. The top sheet that I wrote on, document given to the board and facilities committee for original planning purposes. This is when we first started talking about this. This was the document that we put together and put out. And it had kind of drop downs as to where would the money come from, about how long would the project last or need to be replaced, etc. So this is what we originally did. And then as we met with facilities and we started getting more into the project, I wanted something a little better that we could track with. And so Julie helped develop this, and Pat and Julie and I have worked on this. And so the second sheet here is kind of what our to-date is. And we try and keep it up to date with coloring, like the softball roofs were done. Middle school playground mulch was done. Demo and install the LED lights in the hallway. All of those yellow areas have been done. We're still waiting for some others. Now, that's not to say that all of these are gonna get done, because as we go, the prices are estimates in there. And if something goes over an estimate or under, or if as we're doing something, something comes up and we have to do more than we expected, then other things will fall off this list. So this is basically what we're prioritizing and looking at right now.
Is the parking lot stuff?
Parking lots are done. I just didn't get it on there probably.
No, it's not there, it's not.
Oh, it's not highlighted, yeah. So parking lots are all done, and that was when we found a bonus, because then we could also do the baseball parking lot, because that came in under, and we could do the elementary basketball court. Because of, you know, and so weird. So this just kind of gives you a layout of what we're doing right now. And we also put on here things like the scoreboards and shot clocks were done by Booster Clubs and Schmitty's Timeout and Sports Hub. So those are some of the donations that we have.
Do we get signs up for
sponsorship signs? Sponsorship signs, do Jerry or Pat, do we have? I don't know if we have them up yet. Do we?
We promised them signs.
Yeah, we need signs.
Yes, plans your innovation.
Yeah.
Order till December, right?
Yeah.
It's gotta be a rush before that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, if that answers the questions about, you know, what we're doing in an update, I can just kind of.
No, they'll have to go
Appreciate
like
it.
off.
Thank you.
Great job, and
Some
thank
of
you.
those.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Julie.
Okay, moving right along, we are on number 9, Education Minnesota. Mr. Brown.
All right, everybody, this one's a little bit longer, so I'll try to be respectful of your time. There's a game in there from one of our teachers. If you want to play it, let me know. I'll let you know when that comes up. But jumping forward here, every year, this gives me a heart attack because I don't know that Mrs. Kreisman's doing this, but the anatomy class does this to study healing process of skin, and kids just walk around with this on their bodies nonchalantly, but it's pretty cool, and they have a really good time with it. If you get a chance, if you know any kids that are in that anatomy class or in investigative bio, pretty cool stuff, ask them about it. Awesome things going on in there. Next up, kids got outside of Mrs. Kreisman as well with investigative bio, like I already brought up. They're collecting data while studying insect activity and decomp. They love to bring those in to show us as well. Again, it's obviously funny for them, but it tells us that they're also engaged in learning something. So,
And for the district office, I only have one request.
yes.
If they can do it on a different week than the homecoming parade, because it gets kind of stinky. And
Sure.
when the wind blows just right and you're standing there, you're kind of like, ugh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and as you already know, Mindy, they're high schoolers. It's just
I
kind
know.
of part of the program.
It's all part of it. You probably
Eighth grade.
love that we're Daniel.
Yeah, if any of you have recently been in the high school, 8th grade art students, they're adding school spirit, color to the halls. It was incentivized, but you had a lot of kids step up that wanted to do this. Obviously, they were very proud of it. If you know anything about Nicole Greener, she doesn't like just blank space, so she didn't like to be able to see through the glass. She wanted there to be art. In prior years, these things have been defaced, wiped on, other things drawn on them, and they're pristine. So that is a really cool thing about our kids being respectful of that, and they're very proud of putting that up there. I had one kid give me about a 2-minute discussion as to why he deserves to be able to do it and why he's given the right to do it. So they're proud of it. And then on the next slide, same thing. Again, just another look at what's going on in there. It's pretty cool stuff. Again, if you get a chance to come look, that artwork that the kids do is really cool, and they take a lot of pride in it. Lancer pride. Jump to the next one, Lancer Homecoming. I tried to put as many pictures as I could on there. There were too many to fit. If any of you had the opportunity to be in the gym during the volleyball, I gotta be honest, in my going on 6 years being here, I've never experienced it like that. That's the way homecoming should feel. It was positive, the kids had a great time, and I gotta be honest, no one brought the energy like the middle schoolers. Middle schoolers really set the tone.
Fifth graders.
Our
Fifth graders.
Fifth graders,
In
yeah.
the middle school, it was fifth
Great,
graders.
there we go. We gotta go even younger. But it was awesome. In conversations with students, and any feedback is good, please let us know. We asked them what their highlight of the year was. They loved homecoming. Everything about it. How many donations we had was incredible. The amount of games that we had available for them at the park was fantastic. The attitudes, the engagements, teachers got to participate in games with the kids. I mean, that really was what homecoming should be like. Football went fantastic. Terry and I had the pleasure of roughing that. Kids were great. Attitudes were great. Everything was just really positive. Obviously, there's always going to be those hiccups, but I had a really good time. Jumping over to academic bingo, if you're familiar with Lancer Success, Anita Hazel, students are playing academic bingo for the next few weeks. Not only is it, it's obviously pretty hard to see, I apologize about that, but it's a bingo card, and I'll just read a couple of the boxes to you. One of them is turned into a missing assignment, was focused during class, use flex time wisely. It's always fun listening to them explain to you how this was done. But again, it gives you the opportunity to have those conversations, and they get those things marked up, and it's incentive, and it does engage them. They're motivated to get that thing filled out. Jump to the next one. So Heather really knocked out of the park with this one. Facts, there's a lot coming up here, but Foundations of Cooking, students are busy. They're doing a lot. Anyone that, again, has been in the school, see the kids carrying around their meals. It's really funny to listen to the exchange students talk about what they're making. For example, recently they made a apple pie croissant, and one of our students said that is not a croissant. So again, it's fun. The kids have a great time with it. They obviously enjoy the food. That's a great incentive, but they're learning to cook for themselves, and that's a really big deal. Next one, continued students engaged in unit all about apples. I ruined it, but yes, that was part of it. Mini apple crisp bites, etc. Additionally, to learn about eggs, how to separate them, various ways of cooking them, and the kids so badly want us to try this food, which again is really fun, and it's pretty cool because you get to eat food. Jumping to the next slide here are pictures of them. If you're looking up in the top left, that's that croissant I was talking about. The kids knocked it out of the park. They're having fun. It's creative. Miss Fitzlaw's doing a fantastic job in there, and obviously the stations there are immaculate. Next slide, child development parenting class. Again, if you know anyone that is in those classes, it's hilarious with watching them take care of robotic babies. But child development parenting class has been learning a lot, researching, planning their own lessons about reproduction, pregnancy, childbirth. Students are taking the experience home, so they got babies, they're taking care of them. It's also funny to watch some teachers burping babies and things like that during lunch, whatever. But again, it's applicable stuff. This is stuff we need to learn. It's incredibly important. Jumping to the next slide here. Again, students displaying what's going on in that class. They do have baby showers. That's what you see on the left and the right. And then right there in the middle, proud parent. So we'll continue on here. Special festers. So this was a pretty cool thing. So over at Oktoberfest, they got a special Festers Day. And I would really like to compliment and send out some appreciation to Mrs. Runnigan, to stand in for Kathy Erickson. She helped make this happen. As you can see, the parents are all there. But these kids bring a lot of people a lot of joy. And it's really cool that they got to bring that joy to lacrosse and Oktoberfest, but then have that be reciprocated. These are pretty special kids. I care a great deal about them. I know we all do.
Tori's face in the picture.
I know, she's
like
living the dream. There's probably a boy somewhere that she saw. Yeah. Next one. Unity Day. It was cool to see myself because I was over there doing some observations, but seeing all that orange smiling faces, elementary school is just a different place. Unity Day 2023, third grade stands up to bullying. Again, it's just cool. And correct me if I'm wrong, but each grade level did these pictures, correct?
Yeah,
Yep.
we did a school photo, but yeah, some of the individual grade levels did a full, and so you can see a ton of kids wearing orange.
Yep. It was cool. And then obviously they talked about it. I got to see it happen. Preschool. Teachers are partnering with families to help bridge the gap in social emotional learning between home and school. Again, SEL, as early as you can get it is really important, but obviously that preschool program is something special as well. Next up, we've got Fire Safety Week. It's always a favorite for preschool. I mean, what's not fun about that? Again, bridging those boundaries. The kids get to ask questions. They get to engage. I also want to send a thank you out to the fire department as well because they're always gracious enough to accept high school students on the fire trucks during homecoming, and the kids are pumped about it. And it's always those kids you wouldn't expect that would be pumped about it. So again, we are very appreciative of that. Next up, this is the game. You tell me if you would like to play it, yes or no.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try to keep it quick, so I won't do it like I would with the lesson, but bio, microscopes. They're looking at things that are a microscope. So as you can see, letters A through E. I just want you to pick a letter, and then we'll just shout out your ideas with each letter. But they're looking under microscopes to study the invisible world of cells. Can you identify what is found in their microscopes? And it's kind of hard to see, so let's just do letter B. All right? So I'll give you 10 seconds. Come up with your best idea. Feel free to throw out your ideas.
That's what I like.
Blood cell?
Yeah.
Skin cell, blood cell. Any other ideas? Okay, you can flip to the next slide. So B is a smooth muscle. If you get a chance to look back at this, there's a bunch of different things. But again, they're looking at a lot of different stuff, and as interesting as all those things are, again, it generates some really interesting things to discuss because the kids, they don't see this stuff, and obviously, as you can see, some of these things are uncomfortable for them to talk about. So having those conversations is important. So, I don't know. Jumping to the next one. Elementary music, learning to read and play rhythms. Again, if you ever have an opportunity to watch this stuff happen, it's pretty fun. Again, the kids are just having a good time and they've got all that energy. This is a great use of that energy. And then I do believe that's it. Questions, comments?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. This is a testament to our staff. So
Great to have you.
absolutely.
And just a shout out to the foundation. Right now, I want to do that. They donated $500 in an Apple grant for our students to go to the Oktoberfest. So,
District 300.
yes, yeah, District 300 Foundation did. So that's a great organization.
All right, thank you. Love seeing all the pictures and. Not quite as exciting, but up next we have the budget update.
How did you get to follow that?
I don't know, because that was really good. I was
Any
smiling the
pictures?
whole time.
Pictures? Any games for us, Julie?
No games, no games. We're in the third month, through September is the third month of the fiscal year, so we want to be around 25% of revenue brought in or expenditures gone out, so we can see there for the general fund, we've got about 25% of the revenue, which is great, and we're at less than 15% of the expenditures, which is also good because that's underneath that 25% that we would not want to be over. If you go down a little bit further, we can look at, go down a little bit more, next one. We can go down to the very bottom. All funds there, you can see we're at 15% and 14%, again, being only in, this goes through September, some of those dollars in the different funds come in a little bit later, a little bit slower at the beginning of the year. So that's why we're seeing the total revenue only at 15% compared to 25%. And then again, expenditures at 14%. Not abnormal, just because we're in the first quarter of the fiscal year. So that all looks really well. Balance sheet was sent out. Oh, sorry, yes.
That's okay. Can you just explain what OPEB debt service is, please?
So that is dollars that have been generated in the past, or you can generate in the future, for any type of staff that leave through certain, and pay for certain benefits. So if there's any type of retirement benefits that fall through our district, we can pull from those dollars to pay for those benefits. Or we can pull from that to pay for some of the expected costs we might have if people leave.
Thank you.
Are not used very often at all, but they're there. It's quite a few years back those dollars came to be, so. Moving into the balance sheet, I think the first one that was sent out, there was a correction I did. So, did you send that, out to everybody or no?
It's attached.
Attached, okay, so if you did not look, if you haven't looked today yet at this is a newer one. The first column was not calculating correctly. So if you did look previous to today, when you look at this again, these numbers are going to be a little bit differently. If you go all the way down to the bottom, we're at 18%, so we're sitting there pretty close to where we were at last month. Again, sitting good for our district, and first 3 months of the fiscal year, again, that's where we want to see. When we get closer to the middle is when we're going to start looking at a revised budget. Where are we and where do we want to be going forward? And then to look then at our next year's budget also when we get into that third quarter, because we'll want to start pre-planning on what we're going to spend for the next year. So this number we probably will see over the next few months go up and down, which just means some of our dollars coming in and out. No worries, but we want to make sure that we're staying on track to try to keep this at that amount for the rest of the year to try to stay within our balanced budget.
Thank you. Yep, thank you.
Okay, up next we have enrollment. What's your name?
Registered after kid yesterday. Elementary, are they elementary kids?
One is high school, the other, they didn't say, I want to say middle school. That one's not done yet. The one that I registered yesterday was high school. It was a student that left and is coming back. I feel like the housing market is opening a little bit more too, so that's good. Actually, houses on the market longer than a few hours.
Right.
Or, yeah.
Not even getting to the market.
Yeah. Not super affordable, but there are houses. Okay, and next we have student behavior. I did add the vaping concerns topic to the behavior. We did talk about that already, so I think we can cross that one off. But the student behavior report, anyone want to speak to what we're seeing on here? Any trends, any concerns?
Jeff, is the uptick at the elementary school just kids getting used to their surroundings and feeling comfortable being themselves?
What I will say is we have a new system for tracking behavior, and I have one teacher that has accounted for a lot of those.
Good to know.
Yeah.
I also found it very interesting that kindergarten had none.
Yep.
First grade had a huge
Well, and
jump.
behavior is the eye of the beholder,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
I remember getting behavior reports for farting.
So yeah,
what's
one
the
staff
behavior?
Yes, one staff member is tracking a lot of data, and but there it is.
These are behavior referrals too. One of the things that our PBIS team spent a lot of time on last year was identifying behaviors that were classroom managed behaviors versus office managed behaviors. And once those were identified, and then the expectation was, hey, all of these things are things as a classroom teacher that are supposed to be handled in the confines of your classroom. The number of actual referrals has gone down. Doesn't mean necessarily that there's not some stuff going on. It just means that a lot of that stuff is being handled within the classroom instead of being sent out of the classroom to the office, which is good. That's where we want them. We want them to stay in the classroom as much as possible. So
Focus on restorative practices and help that.
So you could have
immensely as well.
examples of somebody in class having something happen and it doesn't get.
I would say 90% of those first graders are classroom managed, but they're inputted into Infinite Campus and they come to me. So I guess they're not major.
So if something happened, they'd let you know.
Right.
yeah.
Is it a teaching moment to just how to use the system? Is that maybe some of the efficiency?
Perhaps. I mean, these are all majors and minors. I don't know if you just want to know the office managed behavior referrals or.
And so what we're trying to do now is get everyone kind of to be consistent on what is office managed and what is classroom managed. And that's part of, as you go through, you have in your packet some of the things on code, okay? That's where we're trying to start charting those out and saying, I left on the second one, it'll say rubric in the piece, and we'll get to that then. But there are some comments from Jen Gepford, who went through this with all of our buildings, and talking about, you know, some of the comments the teachers said and what they had in there. And so it's very interesting.
So what I'm saying is, are you giving teachers a latitude to handle it?
Yes.
They choose to, yeah.
Pardon?
If they choose to, absolutely. Yeah.
Ideally,
So
that's.
if a kid would get hit, they could handle it on their own. Yeah.
Well, if
You
someone's
wouldn't know
getting
about
hit, that's something that, no, you're violating behavior.
Yeah, that would be an office managed
At
physical
what level
aggression.
though? Because like elementary school, it could be
Kindergarten.
like,
Kindergarten.
Yeah.
you know, like, is that considered hitting like you guys? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it is because they're a lot bigger. I don't know. But
I mean, can I use
some
an example?
consistency between.
So Cody's classroom, kid drops an F-bomb, right? He's gonna
Cody?
address that himself.
That happens.
Right. I mean, he's gonna address that himself. That's not a behavior referral, right?
Right.
If I'm in Cody's class and I stand up and I start screaming at Josh and I haul off and smack him,
Yeah. He'd
Cody's
probably,
gonna address it, but he's also gonna file a behavior referral, and I'm gonna address that.
yeah, he'd probably have to remove it, right?
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's.
But with littler kids, it wouldn't be that big a deal. You'd let the teacher handle it, right? Or no?
I guess that's.
I don't know.
And what you're seeing here is sometimes like there were like 6 of them. Child is upset, colored on desk. Child left the room. Child littered the hallway. Child. This was one event, but 6 referrals because the teacher is tracking a lot of data on the student.
Sure.
So she's following the expectation. It just is inflating this artificially a little bit.
But we want the data too.
Yep.
So.
Yep. It helps us make decisions and support.
And eventually, as we move in, I just did a meeting with Precision Analytics, which is the company that's going to replace EduFiber and a few other ones. And I've asked them so that we can distill the data down in a whole variety of ways. Can we eventually, what I want to be able to do is pull up the behavioral data right from Precision Analytics here in real time, so we have it up to speed with no student identifiers on it, so you can kind of see, you know, in a group, how many of these were done by the same kid, all of those kind of things. It will also pull in attendance data, academic data, all of those, and that's the system we're going to be using through MTSS, kind of targeting what our kids need very specific, and we'll do the behavioral piece too. We will also be able to pull out the data by teacher. So if we're looking at, as Jeff said, first grade, one of the teachers turned the majority of these in, we'll be able to see it. We'll be able to look at the data as to when are kids having behavioral issues. Is it at right before lunchtime? Is it, you know, right
When
before they
they're
have to
ADHD
go
meds are
home,
wearing
when they're
off?
80, exactly. So we'll be able to look through that. And so this is kind of, I said it last year, this is our starting point. Yeah, totally hypothetical.
Would it keep data on like if there's a group of, let's say, 5 kids that are in this one class or
We
maybe-
should be able to pull out the data that way too.
Oh, they behave in classes when they're not together, but when they're together.
And we should, once we get longitudinal data, we should also be able to do things with that by saying, okay, which kids were in this cohort track going through? So who had these teachers going through, who had these teachers going through? You know, were the kids together? Did did the kids do better when they were with their cousins or not with their cousins, or, you know what I mean? All of those pieces we should be able to dig down and find. So it's gonna be a good tool. We're just gonna set up processes of it right now.
And clinically, the behavioral tracking is good for the medical aspect of things, especially because that elementary level is where you're seeing a lot of the infancy and diagnoses for some of those behavioral.
Yeah.
So it's good. Yeah.
Yep.
And just to walk through the suspension, since you had asked earlier. But reminder that up through 3rd grade, that's now illegal to have any suspensions. So you won't see anything, 3rd grade or earlier. But for the high school ones, there's 5 then. One was for a threat of violence, and then the other for rape. Just so you can have an idea of what is considered suspension worthy. It's typically something that's illegal or something that's violent.
And we're tracking the bullying incident reports, not the ones that are actually found to be bullying. So just
Yeah,
that
just
awareness.
the numbers of being put through the program.
Somebody that formally filed it, you'll know about it. Yep.
And overall, high school behavior is half what it was last year. I mean, we're at 14 here, and I think we had 29 last year. Yeah. So,
Knock on wood.
I know.
It's early.
No, things are going well.
Breaks are coming.
And how is it going with the elementary not being able to keep kids in from recess for a consequence? Is that
That's a tool that we're striving to not revert to. And that's all I will say.
So, not to call out anything, but I signed a form saying that the teacher could keep my child in if it was deemed necessary by the teacher, and I was absolutely fine with signing that. So I don't know if that's something we can explore.
That is something that has been done against the advice of the superintendent. However, your superintendent will own the fact that I did not say you absolutely cannot do it. What I said was, I don't believe that's a good practice. I believe that violates the statute. Because in the statute, you're supposed to individually consult with the parents in order to get them to sign to stay in, not do a preemptive signature for everyone in the grade level, grade levels.
when other methods haven't worked? That's what our policy says.
Yes, and it has to be when other methods haven't worked. The other piece I said, the other part that I talked to is what position do you put yourself in then if the parent says, heck no, I'm not signing? Then where do you go with that? You can't, if you build time and you figure out, this is what we've done, these are all the interventions I've done, and you go back to that parent, I can't see them saying anything other than, I already told you where to stick that letter.
Right.
So
Then you're not being consistent with how you discipline different students within.
right. And one of the things I'm struggling with is this also goes against our policy. We talk about our board policies, and our board policy says we do not bring kids in for lunch detention. And
Recess.
recess.
But it also does have the thing where all the other things don't.
Yes.
But on the list of options for discipline, recess detention is not one of these things we list as a possible consequence.
And I believe it's one of their non-required ones that they're doing that for.
No, it's the lunch recess is what I was told.
I mean, I don't think it was specified, but that was what we talked.
I specifically asked if it was lunch recess. And the answer was yes.
So we do allow for lunch detention because the high school uses that and middle school I think uses that. But there is no option for recess detention on our list of options for discipline.
Yeah, Josh was the same. If there's a lunch
Yeah,
detention,
our 5th and
they
6th
go.
grade still have recess, and so when they have a lunch detention, they eat their lunch in the office, they still go out for recess.
I'm pretty sure there's a state ordinance that went through.
There is. There is.
That's right.
And I had our attorney chime in on that, and I have all of the data from when Jeff went to a legal conference, the legal conference decided not to, so we'll be working through that coming up.
So the updated discipline policy incorporates that regulatory change.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so, but I just wanted to remind.
I think the overall answer is, our kids would be doing really well with being allowed to go out to recess and everything else. We have some staff that are struggling. So.
And I'm trying to strike the balance of having my staffs back and helping hold kids accountable, but also not getting ourselves in a bind with what regulations are brand new. So that's where we're talking it through, and what I'm glad is that it was a conversation that happened. So there's elements of this, and their heart is, I think, in the right place, but we're trying to make sure that we're doing what's right.
Well, right.
Old habits die hard.
Yep.
What's that?
Old habits die hard. So when that was your go-to for 25 years, it disappears. What now?
That's right.
Okay. Anything else on that topic? Okay, so for the for board members only, you have a printout in your packet that has a star on it. This will stay in your folder when you leave here and bring those shredders. That is because this has the actual comments that were received from the end of year for last school year review for me. So the first page, you'll see all the people that received the opportunity to complete it. It was only mandatory for board members, not for anyone else. And then Mindy completed a self-evaluation. We had 12 responses, and then 6 of 7 board members. And so you'll see in here the comments that were received as well as the scores. And then Mindy's self-eval is included. What you'll see on the screen and what Darcy will cover for you is a summary and what's included in the board agenda. And so that's what we'll talk about at the meeting today.
So yeah, as you look it over and you see the average scores for Goal 1, facilitates development of the district's short and long-term measurable goals, a strategic plan. The average score was 3, effective. She self-scored a 3. She effectively led our school through a strategic planning action plan, leveraging assistance from Teamworks. For goal number 2, establishing long-term maintenance and budget plans. It was presented here tonight. The average score was a 3. She scored a 3, which is effectively met. The superintendent worked with Apex to create a long-term facilities maintenance plan, worked with our business manager to create an estimated ideal budget plans for large projects into our future, which is great to have a plan for that, staggering those large projects out so they're not all hit at once. It's really nice. Goal number 3, support admin and staff with student discipline. And also scored a 3 for effective. She self-scored highly effective. The superintendent worked with board members and admin to update policies that would best support our district and help with our discipline needs. And I think, as Jacob just said, we're down in high school behavior, and so that data shows for itself that was pretty effective, and knock on wood there. Areas of excellence throughout these comments that we're able to see, clearly people had great things to say about her. She has a connection with staff and relationships, very personable, able to build those relationships internally and externally, bringing people in when needed, knowing when and who to bring in, those resources, people skills, leadership, active listening, and support for those that she works with. And then some developmental opportunities, which also came right from the comments on the eval, was the code of conduct, the one district handbook, being completed, and everything aligning with policy, transparency, prioritization, and project status of facilities spending was not clear. She summarized and brought that to the board today. and delegate more admin level responsibilities and focus on district level work. So we were very pleased. Completed all those goals. We will be moving on to next year's goals, which also should be printed out and handed out to everybody. This also went out in a eval. Everybody got a chance to vote on it. Board members got a chance to vote
Yep, this
on
was only
them.
board members.
We took the top 10 from the, what was it, that you sent out to all of the staff last year? A survey.
Yeah, survey had probably.
It used MSBA's model standards.
Model, I think there was like between 20 and 30.
Yeah, and everybody got a chance to take that. We still have that data. We took the top 10. From that, let board vote on their top 3 that will work on this year. Just another thing on that survey from MSBA standards that will go out again to all the staff this winter. So we'll have that working for what we'll do for next year. But yeah, there's a chance to review them all. Goal 1, ensuring work issues are being handled by appropriate levels and roles. Goal 2, communications. And goal 3, addressing ineffective staff performance within our school district. Thank you, Mindy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So the process will be similar to last year where we'll do a mid-year, I think like January, February timeframe, we do the mid-year, and then end of year again. So we'll just keep
But we
this.
want the end of the year done a little earlier.
Yep.
We're on track this year.
Yep.
And with that survey going out in December for the staff, and then the eval in January, we said we wanted to do it that timeline because of election years when we would have new members coming in January. And then the end one would be done June.
Any questions from board members on anything?
Is the process smooth?
Yeah, thanks for doing
Understandable?
Appreciate it.
Laid out very nicely.
For sure.
Alrighty, we are on G. Good job. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. I hate that you have to have reviews in front of 20 people, but, handbook update.
Okay, so the handbook update, I tried to put the MSBA one together so that we could put it out, but it's 160 pages and the file was just way too big to hook in here. Right now where we're at, I've gone through about half of it and redone the formatting. Marianne typed in the differences from in one color for elementary, another color for middle school, another color for high school. And then district had a separate color too. But as it was moved from her computer and the formatting she was doing there to the newer version of Word that's on my computer, it changed all the lines so that it isn't formatted right. So we're going to go back through and getting that done, and then we'll be consolidating everything. Right now, building principals each still have their separate handbooks, and they've been updating them to the new board policies. So they'll link in and going through that, and that's part of what's on the agenda for tomorrow, to make sure where everyone is in our admin team meeting, to see that we're all linked in and that everything is flowing forward. The code of conduct, on the other hand, is what you have in your packet.
So for the handbook,
Yeah.
when can we expect to have a final version coming forward to the board?
The consolidated final version?
Yep.
I'm thinking that the best rollout for that would be second semester, because that's a natural break in the year. So when we finish out first semester, that would give us enough time to make sure everything's in there and ready to go. So second semester is what, January?
Third week. Yeah. We got you.
So when would it come to the board? It would come to January board meeting or December board meeting?
No, it should be the December board meeting before the January.
Got it. And then code of conduct?
Okay, so the code of conduct is what you have, and so okay, the first one you hit was the narrative, correct? Yep. Rubric? No. What you clicked up was the narrative. So this is a narrative, part of the code of conduct, sorry. Code of conduct will be both of these put together, but because one was already polished and finished and ready to go, the other one I'm working on and it has, we're working on it and it has comments. So this is the rubric. Yep, this is the rubric. Okay, just on top. And so what the rubric is this goes through all of the different things that you can see in the school at all of the levels and gives how those should be handled. If you scroll down a little bit to, so some of the levels, like level 1 and level 2, are pretty much classroom managed, okay? When you get to level 3, you're going to start to see more office managed, etc. And so, and at the top right above there, it will go through what is expected in office managed or classroom managed piece.
I have a question.
Yep.
So maybe there's a natural break here on what
Yes.
gets submitted through the online
Yes.
thing and what doesn't, so
Yep.
that could help with consistency
Yep.
with staff.
And that's why this has been taking a while, is to try and get, so I had worked with my team up north previously to design this. So there were different things that we used and different, I mean, it isn't a real big deal to see firearms and knives being brought into the press room of the school, which is something that I dealt with and had on here that I had to, so we had to tone it down a little bit and kind of lacrescent the language, because mine was a little harsher. So we've been working on doing some of that. And so that level 2, level 3 would be the natural break I'd like to see. As you go down, you can see, and on the far side, and you'll be able to see it better on your prints than you will on the computer version. But if you look at it, there are little bubble comments, and those are some of the things that I was talking about that Jen Gefford identified that were said when she met with the teachers at each level. Not surprisingly to me, our teachers had a lot more that they pushed into office handled stuff than what I had been used to, okay? And they moved they had a lot of different things in. So where I had things like alcohol use, guns, those things, pyrotechnics, they have, one of the things that they added that I thought was interesting is spontaneous nudity. Now that is a kindergarten thing, I think, but so it's, there were just different things that we're negotiating to try and how do we say that or what do we do? So that's really where it's at. This one is pretty much ready to go. I just have to meet with those groups one more time because I met with them, or Jen met with them before, and now I want principals to take it back to them and say, this is where we're at, and is there any really huge opposition to this being classroom managed, and what does this get to?
So that ties directly in with
Yes.
goal 1, which
Yes.
is making sure that things are being handled by the appropriate levels and rules. So that would, if a teacher should be handling it and not a principal, it's making sure that that's pushed down.
Yep.
And how are we gonna roll out the expectation of that as through the level?
Plans.
Because giving them this and saying,
Yeah.
here you go, isn't going to be
We've
sufficient.
gone through this a couple of times with select groups. For sure, elementary, we've gone through it several times. And we'll continue doing that. And then the training on what does this look like, and where are we going, and, and that's mostly through the PBIS teams at the building levels who don't do that.
Currently, last year, each PBIS group created kind of their own classroom versus office management behavior. They have that list. They're really, really close to each other if you compare high school to middle school to elementary. I mean, there's some minor differences there, but, so that's already in place. Some teachers are kind of in this process. It's not like this is brand new out of the blue, like this is gonna shock them.
Nice to see that consistency, is what you're saying.
And they're very similar. There's some age appropriate pieces where, you know, like you're talking if someone hits someone at kindergarten, that's different than seniors hitting each other. So there's some minor pieces there. And that's where, like, where there was the chart where the X's in the different spots, where something might be listed in multiple, because we're trying to be sensitive to the age appropriateness, where, you know, kindergarten, it might be teacher managed for that behavior, but, you know, high school, that might be office managed, or flip-flopped, right? You know, that's where you get into that multiple piece, or if it's a repeat offense. This is the 4th time or the 5th time you've done this week. It might move from a level 2 to a 3 to a 4.
Right.
So,
And trying to figure out in those charts, because, you know, on some of them, we could put, this is a kindergarten response, you know what I mean? And this response, like the hitting response, this starts in grade 4, or this, you know, it moves up to this level. But in each of them, we've had these, and teachers had input on this too, the examples of different interventions and restorative pieces that you can do, because that's what we're trying to get them to move towards. You know, how do we fix the behavior? You know, not just punish the behavior, fix the behavior.
Parent or guardian accompanying students to school. I would love that. Just throw that.
Yeah.
you want to come sit with your girls?
No.
It would be so bad.
So this is the one that's the rubric piece. You can take a look at that. If you have any questions, let me know. And then if you go to the narrative piece, this is the part that's done. And this took a fair amount of time. But basically what this does is it goes through responsibilities, shared responsibilities, students, staff, or student parents, staff, what are student responsibilities and expected behaviors. If you just kind of go down and pull the key headlines. So students, what does that look like? Property of others, safe schools, you know, and it gives examples there. What are we supposed to do? We've got a couple of not statements, but I tried to leave those out. Parent and guardian rights. Now, you'll notice in here I did a highlighted area. That tells me that I want to link that to a policy somewhere. You know, so the disciplinary, link to the discipline policy. Link to the attendance policy. Link to policy 503, you know, which is attendance. And so we want those to be hot links to go in, and I know there's a way you can do them where if we end up changing the board policy, it will automatically stay with the same link in here. So I just need to figure out what that is. If you go down, the interesting thing about this though is when we did this last year, it talks about principal and staff rights, and then it talks about superintendent expectations and rights, and board expectations. So all of those are listed in there.
So I have a question though. So we have policies that already have much of this, like how they're expected to act, and like it includes like parent responsibilities, board responsibilities, principal responsibilities. Like I just updated a policy that has all that in there. So the need for this separate document is what? Because we'll have the handbook that also has some of the same stuff in here. What is this?
And this is just, like I said, something that I have used before, because if I could refer everyone to one document in the buildings I was in before, it just worked better. And so it might be that we drop this and just have it in our handbook. You know what I mean? But this is just an example of what we've done so far.
Well, I know that when they do the annual registration, they go in and they check a box saying, I have read and understand all the above, which is linking to the handbook and the code of conduct. It doesn't link to board policies.
Right, but the handbook should links to the board policies.
Right. Yeah. So does that count if it's a link to a link to a link? I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Because what's happening is the handbooks that are out there right now they conflict with like the updated discipline policy, for example. So having the one handbook will then have the, like, these are the, you know, for the whole district, here's the rules or whatever. And then it would link to the policy, and that way if the policies get updated, you're just linking to whatever the updated policy is. But right now, like, language from the policy is getting pulled into various documents, like in here, in the handbook, and so then they don't align. And for people to have to spend their time making sure those all get updated, it's just not a good use of people's time. So if it's pointing to the policy and linking to the policy, there's no reason to have it again and again and again.
And for anybody looking for that policy too, it's helpful to just have one snapshot for it.
Right, because they're going to be violating one thing, and then they're going to bring in the other thing and say, well, this says this. Right, so it creates issues when you're managing multiple documents that all say the kind of the same thing, but not really.
Can we just have like a responsibilities and expectations section in the handbook? I like how these are laid out.
The only thing about that, like she was saying, we just this says something.
Yeah, I think it's in the discipline policy. And that was an MSBA model
But we don't
policy,
ask
so
them,
that
like,
pulled from
we don't ask
the
them to
MSBA
separate all of our
like responsibilities.
So we wanted in the condensed document with the links to the policy.
Is it fair to say we can, because that's really a management thing, can we move forward since we're in a government or governing meeting? It's not really the board's responsibility to write the handbook, I guess is my point.
Yeah, I just wanted to align the policy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and they don't
agree.
right now.
Waste of time doing all this extra stuff, which is helpful maybe for staff, but for you, it's making extra work as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, anything else on these topics? Okay. Moving along to the consent agenda, item 11.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second that,
Do we have any donations?
There were not any for the month of September.
Okay.
Any discussion? Like we have Deb, a long-term paraprofessional with our district, retiring, or after 22 years.
Yeah,
I
it's
do
pretty
have a
amazing.
question. So is that the second person in that kids company coordinator position in the last year?
Yes, and this person lasted, I think,
2 days.
2 days?
Yeah.
2 days.
Do we know where
In this
I have
particular
feedback,
situation, I
but
know
I
that
won't share
she
today.
accepted a job that was higher paying. So she came in, and then someone else made an offer and accepted a job that's higher paying, so.
do we need to make that not a coordinator and call it something else so we can put them at a higher level pay for what they're doing?
I'm not sure, I gotta talk to Beth on that one, see what she's.
Is it
that
filled now?
refilled?
No, Beth's been doing both jobs pretty much. And everyone else in the office has jumped in. And we're down, and shout out to all of the DO staff. When Beth was down in kids company and didn't have any kids, Brittany was in there working after school, Jody was, Bernie was, I mean, everyone went. and that pretty much over there to try and help out in multiple ways. So it really is a team effort, you know.
I've helped before, but I tell you, the first week of school is definitely a different experience.
Yes.
Does that get difficult with paying them for their salary versus from the kids' company hours?
No, we've got to figure it out. So,
I volunteered sometimes. When you see all the little preschoolers lined up with their little book bags.
Oh, it's adorable. Their
It is.
backpacks are bigger than they are.
Yeah.
They like tip over when they put it.
yeah, and then they just turtle.
I just want to make a comment too, that I'm really disappointed to see Dennis leave. I'm so sad to hear that he's retiring. Resigning, I should say.
Dennis was a custodian and is a custodian and has been able to develop amazing relationships with the students. I mean, he's very approachable. He's a safe adult for a lot of our students. I'm very sad to see him go.
Incredibly hard worker.
Yeah.
I know, my kids talk about that.
I know, I'm really sad to see him leave. I wish we could keep him.
Okay, any other discussion?
Move to approve?
We got that one. We're in discussion. Okay, those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, consent agenda is approved.
Finally, guys.
We're on number 12.
Would you guys just put us up at the
Is
beginning
there,
of your
yeah,
meeting?
is there a reason
I
why
need
we
a
can't?
note, so that way we can like motion to do that.
When we have presenters.
I feel bad. We should have brought him lunch.
Hey, your guys' company, it's all we look for.
There's a quick trip right there. And it's remodeled, it looks small.
Yeah, it's awesome, it's very nice.
Okay, take it away.
All right, thank you guys for having us again. We are doing the second bid package of what we did for the air handling equipment and the indoor air quality. We did get multiple bids on all of the systems, and so this is the result of the bid package to actually install all the equipment as part of it. So we are actually looking tonight for you guys to approve actually 3 different motions. One for the mechanical and controls portions of it, the general construction, and then the electrical bid install. So this will be all for a 2024 summer construction period as part of it. So I'm kind of here to answer any questions that you guys have and see what you guys want to do.
These are the bids that you want us to approve.
Yep.
How
So-
did the other ones come in?
Actually, this is all of them that came in. So this is what came in. Yeah, this is what we got. The nice part is that these are local contractors, and so a lot of these contractors have worked on the building already. So they know the systems, they know everything that is going there. We did have 2 alternates as part of it. As Mindy kind of mentioned, the alternate one was for the locker rooms. And then we kind of did a couple of rounds of, all right, well, what if we did this kind of layout? What if we did that kind of layout? Ultimately, what it sounds like the students and the staff are looking for is keeping a lot of the same footprint that you have now with just some modifications. So by going ahead and doing the alternate one, it still fits in the original package or the original project that we had. The ventilation system gets better, the ceiling gets better. So even if the project gets done in a couple of years, you get a couple of years of benefit of the overall system working better as part of it. And then alternate 2 is kind of an extended warranty on some of the controls as part of the 2021 package that was done. Yes?
Oh, no, keep talking.
Okay. As part of the 2021 package, some of those controls are starting to have a little funny. That you're already starting to look to replace and make modifications to it. This way, you know, we don't foresee any issues with it, but it's just another insurance policy. Kind of like what we did with the major equipment. We bought a second year package for that, so that way compressor goes out, anything that major goes out with it.
So just to clarify,
Yep.
pardon me, financially, we're in the parameters of what the original bid was.
Yes, we are still within the original budget.
So budget-wise, there's no change.
Yep. So even with the 2 alternates that are there, we're still in the good situation of where we need to be. So that does allow you then to see what you can do, see what's gonna be part of the overall project as part of it. Now, one of the things that, a lot of times we like to package these things together as one, equipment, labor, and put it all out as one. We're already getting bids back or quotes back from the vendors that, if we didn't break it apart, we'd be in trouble. So as of right now, I just talked with all the vendors. We should get all the equipment in the summer. August would be what we're looking at. So we were getting some later dates. We've been talking with them. We've gotten closer numbers, but we're still working with them very closely to make sure that everything still comes in time. So.
This is what will cool down the gym in the fall.
Yep.
Okay.
So this will get.
God has promised many people that
Yeah.
this fall.
So we are. So yes. And so we're working very tightly with the vendors to make sure stuff does come in on time and get it all in. So all the air handlers for sure will be in time. So there will be air moving. There will be ventilation for there. The chiller is the one that's kind of that lagging out there that we're, as of now, should be there.
We have a contingency.
But we do have contingencies in plan. So we are working with them for backup power or backup chiller if we needed to for that. So.
Right now, the ship date on that is August 1st, so they're punching across the river, so it shouldn't take too long. So if it stays on track, we should be good, but as Mindy mentioned, we do have a contingency plan.
Yeah.
And the contingency plan is, and you've done it in other places.
Yep.
Renting the same unit, and then that will just go in until our unit comes in.
Yeah, essentially comes in a big flatbed. They bring it in, you hook it up. We do it for ice rinks on a regular basis. And so it's something that you don't want to do, but sometimes you need to do it to make sure that you can have it. So.
Okay. And so you're looking for 3 separate motions?
Yep, just because it's 3 separate contractors.
All motion for mechanical and controls.
Second.
Motion to what? To approve, let's
The
say for
big projects.
the vendor.
Okay, so the motions are already written out here on page 2.
Yeah.
So the motion for mechanical controls on base project 1 says school board motions to move into contract with Winona Controls for the mechanical and controls installation of a total amount of $1,611,700.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Any discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion 1 passes.
A motion, school board to move into contract with the Olympic Builders for the general construction for the total of $711,282.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? Any discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion 2 passes.
Motion to approve electrical, school board motions to move into contract with P&T Electric for the electrical construction, total amount of $529,899.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you guys for reading them.
Okay, motion 3 passes.
That's why you guys gotta go first, so we're not so tired.
Can you put the order in like tonight?
Yep.
Yes. So
Well, the orders for the chillers and everything, that's already been gone through and everything. But yeah, anything else we'll get done and get it started and let everybody know. So we'll be working on contracts, so that way they can go out next. And then we'll be back in front of you guys here in a couple months with kind of timelines and schedules and all that kind of stuff. So that way you guys kind of know what's going on and get everything prepped and ready for next summer.
Thank you
So-
thank you for typing up the motion.
I've done this a few times, so
Love it.
sometimes it works
Yeah.
out. So all right, thank you everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, motion to have them at the beginning of the meeting when they're here.
I don't think it
Adjust
has
the
to be
agenda.
education.
Yeah, we can adjust
We'll
the
just
agenda.
adjust.
But yes,
Yes.
Or anyone that's.
yes.
That needs
Thank you
to be
for the
first.
safely.
Yeah.
Have a good
Thanks
night.
again,
Drive
safe travels.
safe, watch the deer.
Okay, we're on item 12B, assurance of compliance. This is the annual assurance of compliance report that the superintendent signs and submits on behalf of the district. Anything you want to?
And we're just making a motion for her to sign that, correct? Yeah, so there's, yes.
No, this is the one, there's a multiple assurances of compliance that we have to do. We've got a couple more that are coming up. This one is very specific to making sure that all of the buildings have all of the equity laws and all the pieces in there that staff can refer to. And so and we have that done. Brittany did a fabulous job last year updating everything and getting everything printed and in binders. So this year, all I had to do was email out to building secretaries, and then they would take the new ones and put them in if there was anything different, right?
I'll make a motion for you to sign it.
Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. You are approved to submit, sign away, assurance of compliance. Okay, we are on 12C, which is the 2023-2024 QComp site goals for elementary, middle, and high school.
And Jeff had to leave because with the meeting rescheduled, he had a commitment in Alaska with the symphony. So if anyone has any questions, I was there when we created this goal, so.
My question was actually, sorry Jacob, with the high school goal.
Yep.
While I completely agree we want to increase attendance, I'm a little bit concerned because staff really have no control over that.
This was a staff generated goal. It came for our building leadership team, and then went to our staff meeting, and then went back to the building leadership team.
Right.
So it's something that staff has selected as their goal, because they feel it has such a significant impact on how our students do.
Well, I get that, but how will staff, like if a kid is sick, a kid is sick. If we have a global pandemic, we have a global pandemic. So how will staff decrease absenteeism?
And that was, we spent half of our staff meeting today brainstorming ideas and things that staff can do. And they had quite the list.
I think Cody hit it a little bit in the Ed Minnesota presentation as he was talking about the engagement and doing activities that will make people want to come in. And so they're not, it's not just to sit and get.
The relationship and the structure of your lessons.
You think 15 is too ambitious?
I mean, we were at 7% pre-COVID.
We had a lot better teachers back then too, though. I just want to.
How is attendance looking so far this year?
So I checked it for building leadership, what was that, last week? 2 weeks ago? We were at 14%.
So is that 15 too low? Do we want to go lower or?
Well, I mean, it was, building leadership set it up as a 3-year goal, recognizing that, you know, going from 10 to 7 is going to be harder than going from 19 to 15. I mean, that's, so if we overshoot the 15, we end up at 12, we'll readjust the numbers. And
So the only other comment I'll make is on that Minnesota report card for the high school, we're actually above like the average for the state in absenteeism. We're still above, but our academics are way below. So I'm not comfortable with this being high school. Okay, I think it should be something related to academics that we have more control over.
You know, I don't actually mind this because you got to get them there before you teach them. And so if they can improve that, I think the academics will go Just my opinion.
It's kind of like that. It's a symptom of not having higher test scores.
Yeah.
There's also like a significant drop from last year in some of our scores.
I mean, 19% chronic. I mean, how do you expect them to do well when they're not there? So if these guys can chip away at this, they're gonna just naturally, they're gonna get better, right? That's what the hope is.
Yep, and that's what our staff help.
Yeah.
And the chronic absenteeism, that's defined as you're missing in excess of 10% of the school year.
That's great.
So, I mean, you're talking 18 school days or you are absent.
And that's a very small percentage, right? I mean,
What's that?
isn't that a pretty small percentage of people that are missing more than that?
19%.
19% last year.
19%.
Yeah.
19% of our high school students last year missed at least 18 school days.
Were they siblings?
Not all of them. No.
Okay. I just was curious if it was like a family thing. Are they on vacation? Are they taking the
Are we
3-week
able
Disney
to
trip? Because they
have
haven't for 2
two
years.
consoles and add some academics? No. No, we're doing that at our work session.
Yeah, the way that's, the way QCOM's designed, it isn't designed for two site goals.
Right.
It's designed for one. And QCOM, the way the legislation and the way the program is written is it's supposed to be done exactly like Jacob did, with it being from the teachers. Okay, this is a hugely teacher involved and engaged program, and so they're supposed to identify what works, what they think works.
Then it goes to district oversight committee.
Yeah.
And that's
And then
the end of it.
Yeah, and then the district oversight committee is basically made up of admin and teachers in equal amounts, so that then that's that review and is this going to work or is this not going to work and how do we do it.
And what happens if these goals are not met? Is there a penalty? Does anything happen?
They don't get their bonus.
It's a $500 bonus for the teachers.
Yeah.
They don't get.
See, this is where the board needs better education on QCOM, because I don't think any, well, with the exception of Jeff, do that. So what you're saying, so that makes a difference. Because so what you're saying is staff are willing to say that attendance is gonna increase and they're gonna
That was
wager their bonuses that they can get an increase.
That was their choice. Yep. And we talked about a whole bunch of
That's
things.
a whole different thing then for me.
And what I really am impressed with here, and I've done QCOM goal setting in lots of different districts, and like I said, I worked with the elementary. And the idea that the high school staff was saying, make it higher, you know what I mean?
Right.
To go, make it a tougher goal, a more stringent goal, is really impressive, because generally you hear the opposite.
Right.
Oh, we can, let's just make it 1 or 2%, you know, and yeah,
That's a big number.
Well, and they also felt that this was something every staff member of the high school can help accomplish by building relationships, creating a climate and environment that is positive. They felt that this is something every staff member can help. Whereas, up through 8th grade, every student takes multiple standardized tests. When they get to high school, that stops. 9th graders take none. 10th graders take only science and reading. 11th graders take math and some take the ACT. Seniors take nothing. So we don't have a standardized assessment that every kid takes that we can actually measure. So
They don't take fast push on high school.
So the last 7 or 8 years, maybe longer, it's been ACT.
Yeah, which is terrible.
Which
I'm
measures,
so glad it's not
right,
that.
it measures
Yeah.
3 academic subjects that 4 teachers have an impact on. And that determines if
That
everyone.
not all kids take.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's some of the discussions that building leadership had, is that we don't have a good, high-quality academic. They said, could we measure failures? We could, but we actually feel that attendance is a bigger issue than the kids failing courses.
I did some extensive research through MDE, regarding that report card thing. I actually didn't even know they had that.
Yeah.
And I thought if they're able to measure, then they're able to remediate, right? So my curiosity is, what is MDE saying should be used for standardized testing to measure those parameters and figure out how far off baseline we are a year after pandemic, right?
That'll be a great
just
discussion
curious.
at our work.
Yep.
Thank you,
Because
Jessica.
I'd like to understand
Yeah.
that more too.
I feel like I don't want to put a motion on this yet. That's my 2 cents, just until we have maybe to table this till next time. Is that an option?
Or is there a timeline for this?
QCOM goals.
I-
Voted on by the board?
Well, see, QCOM goals have traditionally always been voted on by the board because we had to submit them to MDE. And so we wanted board staff to approve. We just found out this year that you do not have to submit the QCOM goals to MDE, you just have to hold them internally. And so that's kind of where we're at. I mean, this will be what we're working on, you know, going forward. I do think it's gonna be a really good idea to learn more about QCOM and learn more about what's going on. I was just looking through my papers because yesterday, in one of my superintendent's meetings, we sat down and met with a gentleman who, that's all he does is go over the data from the report card and SLEDS, which is a public data point for all Minnesota schools. And he is willing to come in and do it and do workshops for people. So I'll talk to April and see if we want to combine that into something too, where he can just do a little teaching.
I would love
that.
If we just have an hour, that's not gonna work. So
No.
we'd have to, if we're gonna
We
have
could do it
someone
at a
come
different
in.
time, yeah.
So I'm not clear, is this something we're supposed to be,
It
it says
doesn't-
it's on here for motion
Yes. And I think it was on their promotion because we always have
or
it.
for action?
Yeah. So.
Can we motion to table it until next board meeting, since
That
we're
would-
gonna
yep.
do it?
That would
Is
be
it
fine.
called like?
Or we
it's
could
not-
just
can we
look at
just
it.
Can I add
move?
in on mine,
Yeah.
just a little
Why don't we just trust our
piece of-
teachers and go with it?
Can I just add in a piece on the middle school, because we changed our goal, kept the same subject area of math, but we changed from MCA tests, which is one time a year. A lot of the middle school teachers feel don't get the concentration and the effort on the MCA test as the FastBridge do. FastBridge are a little bit, they're not as lengthy. It gives us a little bit better data. And we do it in the fall, winter, and the spring. So we get 3 data points through FastBridge. And so we changed it from MCA as our measuring device to FastBridge AMath, and then put they recommend anywhere from a 2% raise is a very small, the 5 is quite large, and so we're right at about 3% increase in our students who are on track category. And so, in addition to that, we've also, like Mindy mentioned earlier, we were adding the math.
CBM.
Yeah, the CBM. What is it called? Automaticity.
Automaticity, CBM automaticity. So what that means is,
And what it's really going to do is it's going to link the two FastBridge tests together. It's going to give us a better picture of the actual deficit areas, like by item. And so we're able to break it down by student. Okay, here's student A's specific deficits, and and then it ties it directly to interventions for that student as well. And then it also recognizes trends for an entire class. So they can say, okay, the majority of this class missed this concept, so it lends itself to a whole class reteaching opportunity. So it really will give us a lot more usable data, and we'll really be able to, kind of pinpoint the areas that our students are struggling with.
So the FastBridge is not just math?
no.
There's
No,
separate FastBridge
There's-
tests for
Yep.
each?
There's multiple things.
Oh, nice.
FastBridge goes into reading, it goes into math, it also goes into SAVERS, which is a behavioral assessment.
Could
And
we
SEL,
say,
fifth
grade.
instead of
SEL
just
and-
math, could we also incorporate the reading?
We are going to.
Okay.
Yep, but this
So
is
2%.
just specifically for our QCOM goal.
Yeah.
But yes,
So
we
they're
are
gonna
going, we are
use
going
that
to.
goal.
Yep, in math, seventh grade specifically is doing that this, within the week. And I just had at a staff meeting today, let them know that we will be doing the CBM reading and math for our winter and spring testing sessions.
And so, as Josh and I met to talk about this with Sarah, we decided that because there's been a gap from when we administered the first fast wage to right now, that we would only look at that seventh grade class, because that's the class that has had some trauma. Yeah. Good, thank you for choosing that word. I was struggling with the word. Yeah. They've had some trauma in there, and so if we can, even though the fall data is not going to be super pristine because we had a couple of weeks in between the two, it will be better than not having it. And then that will give us a comparative to when we do it in winter and spring too. But as long as we're doing the same thing, same exact thing with the elementary goal. And that was set at 3% because what we ended up doing there is we went back historically to look at, and this is based on both of the tests, we went back historically to look at what the kids were scoring before COVID and where they were at, and we did a rubric that kind of did a predictive as to what, where do we need to go and what can we get to. And so that's how we came to this one.
I'm comfortable voting on these.
Yep, I'd make a motion that we accept the QCOM type
So
goal.
we already had a motion and that was to table this or, table this
Anybody
item.
second that?
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, and discussion?
Yeah, why are we doing it?
Well, because we're gonna have an informational meeting, a workshop.
To understand,
Next
I
month
think
to understand it more.
we shouldn't vote on what we
Whether
don't
we're gonna
understand.
change it or not, I mean, I'm not.
You're
gonna
not,
say
you
it's
probably won't change it. will
No,
you?
I just,
I feel they did a really great
yeah,
job
I mean,
clarifying
this is-
everything to me. I trust their,
we know a little more information
Management's
about
on
where
it.
and how this all works before we vote on it.
I don't want
It's not gonna affect anything if we wait a month, is it?
No, I'm not sure.
I didn't, so, I mean, I'm just, that way we know a little more information on how this all works.
But nothing's gonna change.
Well, I agree.
The QCOM is a lot bigger, just so when you get that information, there's a lot more to it than just this.
Yes.
There's so many pieces, so that's just a small component of it. There's a lot to it.
I
just thank you for teaching us.
I am good with tabling it because number one, I think we need to understand it better before I vote. And I would also like to know if we even need to vote on it.
Right.
Because if this doesn't need board approval, it shouldn't be on here.
Right.
And we have a board member that sits on QCOM. So, I'm fine with the motion to table it for those reasons. Any other discussion?
Well, we approved it how many years in a row without understanding what it was. I mean, these guys understand what it is, they've got a plan, why can't we just trust them?
It's not a trust issue for me, it's a public service to those that are watching our meetings and wanting to know what the board is doing as an educated decision maker, making a vote on behalf of our public. So for me, it's the education needs to be had in order to make an informed decision.
and just a little bit on like, if we don't necessarily need to approve it, I think sometimes it looks good that we do support them and back those, like whether they require board approval or not. Once we learn, I
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, Nikki, can we do a roll call vote on this? So the motion is to not
Table till
take action and table.
board meeting. Carlson,
Yes.
Cody,
no.
Pardon me, Martell,
No.
Miller, yes. Morgan is absent, Strumka,
Yes.
Jeff Conway,
Oh,
we're in a tie, so it has to wait until next meeting. The motion has to be revisited at the next meeting. So that's it.
coach doesn't mean that you can't go forward with it.
No,
Right.
just like overload.
It either comes back on the next agenda for us to approve or it doesn't. Okay, we are on D, which is resolution 2309 from Minnesota State High School League Foundation Grant.
I'll make a motion for her to sign that, or for coach to sign that.
I second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Okay, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, sign away. And E is strategic roadmap. And this was just the final version of what we put together, right? with teamwork?
Looks good.
Motion to approve.
Okay, any discussion? Any discussion?
Feels good to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Move forward.
Okay, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Roadmap is approved.
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned.
I have one question that just Mindy and maybe we, just in case this gymnastics thing, we don't get numbers. Board